When people are born to be happy, if they can't find joy in their own beauty, they'll find it in the misfortune of others. A few years ago, there was a story about two babysitters who were sentenced to 3 years in prison for child abuse. After the court ruling, I came across some reactions from netizens, and one type of comment stood out to me. For example, this one comment got 15,000 likes. The person said they didn't realize their actions were a crime, and that they just wanted the kids to eat well and behave nicely. Another person chimed in, joking, "I hope they get a good meal too. Enjoy your meal behind bars." This comment received 5,000 likes. These two women became internet memes, with pictures of them paired with humorous captions circulating online like a virus. This turned into the biggest proof of how captivating a story can be. It captures the attention of the internet community and makes them eager to showcase their creativity by making memes. This phenomenon became a trend, contributing to the culture of meme humor. Some news outlets even posted these memes without hesitation, with one newspaper running a long article featuring the funniest memes. The author acknowledged that while these jokes from the internet are funny, they also reflect something deeper. What can we see here? It's a sense of satisfaction and gloating over the fate of these babysitters. People find joy in others' misery and misfortune, the kind of joy that comes only when bad things happen to others. This type of humor could be subtle, a quiet sense of pleasure when you hear that your neighbor's car was scratched, or it could be openly displayed, like in the case of the memes. This phenomenon is often seen on reality TV shows, where contestants unintentionally become the laughingstocks of millions. Reality TV has been around since 2002, and with its rise, there's been a concept developed by researchers at WealthX and Thriller called humiliation entertainment. This term is made up of two words, humiliation, which refers to degrading someone, and entertainment, which of course refers to entertainment. In Vietnamese, we can translate it as making humiliation fun, or humiliation for entertainment. Humiliation entertainment is a trend in pop culture that creates modern-day arenas where people are humiliated for entertainment. It's like those early 20th century exhibitions where people with disabilities or abnormal traits were put on display for the public's enjoyment. Humiliation entertainment has become big business, encouraging people to perform ridiculous acts or put themselves in embarrassing situations, all for profit. News outlets often feature these disasters, capturing the funniest or most cringeworthy moments. Reality TV shows have turned these moments into marketing tools. Viewers and producers alike know that these train wreck moments are the real draw for audiences. One media outlet even confirmed that disaster moments are often the highlight of talent shows across multiple seasons. Viewers laugh freely at the hilarious and awkward moments of contestants, and the judges' reactions to these moments are equally entertaining. But why do people find joy in watching others get humiliated? Well, one explanation comes from social comparison theory, which was first introduced by psychologist Leon Festinger in the 1950s. According to this theory, we tend to evaluate ourselves not by objective standards, but by comparing ourselves to others. Our sense of self-worth increases when we see others fail. This is why people with low self-esteem often take pleasure in seeing others trip up. For example, a straight-A student might feel sorry for a classmate who failed, but a student with poor grades might secretly enjoy seeing someone else struggle. In his book, The Joy of Pain, author Richard H. Smith argues that we enjoy watching train wreck moments on reality TV because they make us feel better about our own lives. When we see someone else failing, it makes our own problems seem smaller. There's a term for this, downward social comparison, and it gives people a sense of joy, feeling superior to others in a moment of their vulnerability. This kind of joy is often tied to envy. Envy is the feeling of discomfort when others succeed or get lucky. But schadenfreude, or the pleasure of seeing others fail, is a different kind of feeling. It's the joy derived from someone else's suffering. Behind envy is often insecurity, and the more insecure someone is, the more likely they are to take pleasure in others' misfortune. It's easy to see why people with low self-esteem find pleasure in seeing others fail. As the American writer F. Scott Fitzgerald once quipped, "Each time a friend succeeds, I die a little." This captures the dark side of envy, the feeling that we are somehow diminished by the success of others. It's as if the achievements of others subtract from our own value, leaving us feeling inferior. And as Fitzgerald's quote highlights, the opposite of envy is not just neutral indifference, it's a deep, painful sense of loss. Interestingly, this phenomenon extends to something even darker, a form of sadistic joy. Some people don't just enjoy seeing others fail in a small way, like getting a lower grade or making a small mistake. They thrive on watching others suffer in more severe or humiliating situations. It's this deep-seated pleasure people take from others, misery that often fuels the worst excesses of social media and reality TV. When someone becomes the target of relentless ridicule or public shaming, it's not just about feeling better about ourselves in comparison, it's about feeling powerful and in control. It's the cruelty behind the jokes and memes that turns entertainment into a form of emotional violence. Take, for example, the disturbing phenomenon of cyberbullying. The internet gives people a sense of anonymity and distance, which makes it easier to dehumanize those they target. A good example of this is the case of a young woman who became the subject of a viral video. Her boyfriend shared a private video of her, and in the span of just 2 days, over 300,000 people watched the footage. It wasn't just the video that made people watch, it was the cruel commentary that came with it. Some 18,000 likes and 4,000 shares flooded the post, with thousands of people gleefully mocking her. As the comments piled up, some said things like, "She deserved it," or "She's trash anyway." It didn't stop there. Her family pleaded with people to leave her alone, but the internet only dug deeper, enjoying the spectacle of her pain. Eventually, she couldn't take it anymore and took her own life. The most chilling part? The online community didn't stop there. They started mocking her after her death. Some people even wished she were dead earlier, adding another layer of cruelty to the already appalling situation. These kinds of online events are horrifying, and they reveal something ugly about our culture. The tragedy of the young woman wasn't enough to stop the cycle of abuse. It merely fueled it. People had found their target, and they continued to enjoy making her life even worse, until it was too late. Yet, instead of feeling remorse, many in the online community continued to poke fun at her, turning her pain into a form of public entertainment. This is a stark example of what psychologists call trolling, using the internet to provoke, insult, or humiliate others for the sake of amusement. Trolling has become so prevalent that it's now recognized as a major issue in many countries, and laws have been enacted to combat it. For instance, New Zealand and the UK introduced anti-trolling legislation in 2015, with severe penalties for online harassment and defamation. In these places, perpetrators could face up to 2 years in prison for their actions. These laws acknowledge that there's a significant problem when online behavior becomes more about making others miserable than about meaningful communication. In the UK, for example, reports showed that the rate of people convicted of sending malicious messages had increased tenfold since the previous decade. The typical approach to cyberbullying used to be a simple warning, but now, in many cases, it has escalated into criminal prosecution. Why? Because the scale and impact of online bullying have grown to the point where it can no longer be dismissed as harmless fun. One thing that has become clear from all this is that the internet has enabled the normalization of cruelty. It's no longer enough for someone to suffer in silence. Now, their suffering is broadcast for all to see and enjoy. And the sad reality is that many people seem to derive genuine pleasure from it. In this culture of humiliation, as it has been called, cruelty is not just a side effect, it is the main event. The most disheartening part is that, in many cases, the people who engage in trolling or online harassment don't even seem to recognize the harm they're causing. They see it as a form of entertainment, a way to relieve their boredom or express their frustrations. But in reality, they're contributing to a cycle of emotional damage that can affect the victim for the rest of their life. One of the key things to understand is that this culture of cruelty isn't just about bad behavior. It's about something deeper. A societal issue that goes beyond the actions of a few bad apples. When people laugh at others' misfortunes, they're participating in a system that rewards harm. Whether it's the way reality TV shows glorify failure or the way social media amplifies the worst aspects of human behavior, the internet has made it easier than ever for people to engage in cruel acts and feel validated by it. It's a culture that thrives on comparison and humiliation. The more someone suffers, the more others feel superior. And that's what people find so addictive. And so we come back to a question that's been asked time and time again. Why do we find joy in the suffering of others? It's not just about being entertained. It's about feeling better about ourselves. In a world where we're constantly comparing ourselves to others, there's a certain comfort in seeing someone else fall. But it's a shallow, destructive comfort that ultimately leaves everyone worse off. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the psychology behind this phenomenon, exploring why it's so ingrained in our culture and why we can't seem to stop. But for now, let's reflect on how this desire for superiority through others' pain has shaped our online interactions and how it continues to fuel the darker sides of the digital world. As we've seen, the culture of humiliation and schadenfreude is deeply rooted in human psychology and has only grown stronger in the digital age. But why does this desire to feel superior through others' pain have such a powerful grip on us? It's not just because of a lack of empathy or understanding. It taps into something fundamental in human nature, the need to compare ourselves to others to gauge our worth. The concept of downward social comparison, first discussed by psychologist Leon Festinger, suggests that people derive a sense of comfort and self-esteem by comparing themselves to those who are worse off. In simpler terms, seeing others fail makes us feel better about our own situation. It might sound harsh, but it's a basic instinct to want to feel superior. When we observe someone struggling, failing, or being humiliated, it reinforces our sense that we're doing okay, and that, on some level, makes us feel good. It's a coping mechanism, one that shields us from our own insecurities. But the problem arises when this comparison goes beyond a simple sense of comfort and morphs into a more toxic behavior. This is when schadenfreude, the joy we feel when others suffer, becomes a real issue. It can easily spiral into something much darker, turning into a destructive cycle that encourages cruelty. For example, the way some reality TV shows glorify failure and humiliation feeds into this cycle. Producers and viewers alike know that the most dramatic and outrageous moments are often the ones that get the most attention. These moments become entertainment as we cheer on the suffering of others, sometimes even feeling a sense of victory when they fall. This is particularly evident in the way certain individuals are vilified or made into spectacles for public consumption. In reality TV, it's not uncommon to see contestants pushed to their limits, humiliated, or made to look foolish for the sake of ratings. The audience, in turn, revels in these moments, perhaps without realizing the lasting impact on the people involved. These moments of humiliation aren't just entertainment. They are at the expense of someone else's dignity. And this phenomenon isn't limited to television. It has seeped into social media, where people are increasingly targeted and humiliated in public spaces. Take trolling, for example. Trolling goes beyond simply making fun of someone. It's about intentionally provoking and causing harm for the sake of entertainment. It's one thing to laugh at a harmless mistake or a lighthearted meme, but it's another to relentlessly mock someone until they feel trapped in their own misery. When these actions are normalized and even celebrated, they only reinforce the idea that causing harm is an acceptable way to get attention or feel validated. It's easy to think of trolls as faceless entities behind a screen, but the reality is that they're often people who feel disconnected from their own pain. These individuals may turn to others' suffering as a way to distract themselves from their own insecurities or feelings of inadequacy. It's easier to feel powerful by tearing others down than by building ourselves up. Unfortunately, this behavior is often encouraged by the very platforms that should be promoting connection and empathy. The algorithms of social media and reality TV reward sensationalism, and so the cycle continues. But why does this happen? Why do we keep engaging in this behavior, even though it's so damaging? One theory is that as a society, we have become desensitized to cruelty. The more we see others suffer, whether in the form of viral videos, news stories, or reality TV, the less we react with empathy and the more we become numb to it. This desensitization makes it easier to participate in or overlook harmful behavior. It also means that as a society, we don't always recognize the impact of our actions. We may laugh at a meme or share a joke, but we don't often stop to think about how it affects the person on the other end. We've created a culture where humiliation is not just tolerated, it's celebrated. And the sad part is that we're all complicit in some way. Even if we're not the ones making the cruel jokes or creating the memes, we're often the ones who consume them, fueling the cycle. Each like, share, and comment adds to the perpetuation of this toxic culture. And when we laugh at someone else's pain, we're sending a message that it's okay to treat others with cruelty for the sake of entertainment. This isn't just a problem for the individuals who are targeted, it's a problem for society as a whole. When we prioritize entertainment over empathy, we begin to lose sight of what makes us human. Compassion, kindness, and understanding become secondary to the pursuit of cheap laughs and fleeting moments of superiority. The more we engage in this behavior, the harder it becomes to break the cycle. So how do we fix this? How do we start to create a culture that values empathy over entertainment and kindness over cruelty? It begins with self-awareness. We need to acknowledge the role that social comparison plays in our behavior and understand how it affects the way we interact with others. It's important to recognize when we're participating in or contributing to harmful behavior, even if it seems like harmless fun. We also need to start holding ourselves and others accountable for the way we treat others, both online and offline. It's also crucial that we support those who are targeted by this culture of humiliation. Instead of laughing at them, we should offer support and stand up for their dignity. By changing the way we engage with others, we can begin to shift the narrative and create a space where empathy and kindness are valued above all else. Ultimately, it's up to each of us to take responsibility for the culture we're creating. If we want to live in a world where people can feel safe and respected, we need to stop encouraging the humiliation of others and start fostering a culture of kindness, understanding, and compassion. It may take time, but small changes in how we interact with the world can lead to a ripple effect that transforms society for the better.